What's poppin', people? It's Dante. I'm currently along the Benjamin Franklin Bridge here in Philadelphia. I absolutely love coming to this location during my walks. Beautiful, beautiful day. We have the sun out. And yeah, it's becoming actually really warm this winter. So now I've got the Vibram 5-finger ELX knit version with some toe socks. Yeah, it feels nice. I mean, I haven't been wearing these as much this winter because it's very cold in Philadelphia, but to go barefoot again, it feels so blissful. You know, I feel as though walking barefoot, it's one of these simple pleasures where I actually believe it's unnatural wearing these like thick-soled shoes that we have these days. There's something about it, it really doesn't feel good on my feet, and I actually believe that a lot of the shoes we wear these days maybe promotes bad health overall. Thinking of the back pains that we face here in our daily lives, you know, maybe the back pain and these sort of things that occur are simply due to the choices we make, like what shoes you wear. And you know, if you're sitting down or walking, you know, but to walk barefoot, actually, it's just like you're putting in some sort of work. You know, my calves feel it at the end of the day. My legs feel like they did something, and I think actually after wearing these for a year, you know, maybe actually my legs have become stronger. I feel my calves have increased in size, you know, so a little bit of pain, a little bit of gain, that which does not kill us makes us stronger, and I feel way better walking barefoot. Also, I feel better when I'm at an elevated space like this, right? When I'm at a sort of position that allows me to look out, you know, whether it's just looking out towards the skyline here, at the horizon, beyond the river, you know, up at the sky, right? Open spaces, I believe, increases and elevates my mood, you know, so quite literally positioning myself at this elevated space and just being elevated, yeah, it elevates my mood. So simple life hack for living in cities. Yeah, it seems to go primal, walk barefoot, get the sun, go to elevated spaces and open green places. I find that the Independence Hall area where we have the National Constitution Center is fantastic. Lots of grass, lots of open air. You know, what happens is when you live in this urban city such as Philadelphia, we have lots of tall skyscrapers, tight streets and alleys, and it can feel constricting. It can actually dampen your mood being confined on the grid. But to sort of go to these sort of spaces like the bridge and the parks and the green spaces that are open, yeah, it just provides you with an elevated view and an elevated mood. So yeah, it feels great. And the sun, you know, how to feel bliss, yeah, just look up. I love when the sun's out. It really does make a world's difference. I also just like to admire all this beautiful architecture, the lamps and the structure of the bridge, and looking out towards Old City and the old buildings. And you know, there's something about the Old City area here in Philadelphia that I love. You know, I have these daily rituals, and I really do love, you know, a good routine. I like walking to the same space every day. I like coming to the bridge. I like walking to the museum. I like being by the river. I like going to the parks. So, you know, there's something about the balance between living in a city and embracing nature that maybe isn't talked about enough, and I'm just happy to share whatever I think about and use the GoPro Mini 1080p 30 fps exported to 720p as a way for me to augment my thinking and just treat it as a sort of visual note, an audio piece, sort of augmented way to think and write. And yeah, I think just using the GoPro to remember the day, remember my thoughts, and just put them out there. It's not so serious. I think you know, why photograph? Ultimately, I photograph to remember. So I think that photographing each day and having the camera on you at all times, you know, and just making that effort to practice daily, you know, I find this to be important in my life. And you know, it doesn't have to be this serious thing where you're going out there to make these like epic photos, whatever, but to simply photograph as a way for you to create, you know, this sort of visual diary, you know, treat it like a journal entry, where when I photograph and I raise my camera up and I press the shutter, I'm merely asking questions about the world around me. You know, what is this? Why? Where am I? You know, sort of just making these notes about the world and just asking questions. It's a very simple thing. It's not that serious. You know, we don't have to take our photography so seriously. I don't think we should take ourselves so seriously, but to sort of just embrace this spirit of play and to just go out there and seize the day with a camera. And so yeah, daily practice is important in my life. I think it also just keeps your eyes sharp. And what does a photographer need but a pair of eyes and 2 feet to walk endlessly? So yeah, both physical and visual pleasure, the medium of photography. I find it to be, yeah, it's a really special thing in my life and something I can't do without, right? I have to photograph every day. Photography is my drug, essentially. And so yeah, it keeps me out here and it keeps me wondering. And so I like to treat the photographs this way. A way to remember the day. I love society, the paved roads, Philadelphia, being around other people while simultaneously having my own space, right? I like to be alone. I like to sort of have this solitude in life while also engaging in the chaos and the insanity, if you will, of the urban environment. So yeah, it's important for me to have these daily walks away from people. Are we disconnected or connected? Recently just checked out the Apple Vision Pro. The day of release, I passed by on Walnut Street and I recognized that it was open, and you know, I just went in, I asked if I could test it out. So for 20 minutes I was able to test it out. You sit down, they calibrate your face, they put the thing up to you, the phone, you sort of look around, they calibrate your face, whatever, for tracking. Then you put the headset on. They have these different points around to look at with your eyes and calibrate your eyes. So essentially think of the mouse and cursor. They track your eyes and use the eyes as the mouse. So when you look at an application, you can highlight over it by just looking, and then using simple gestures like flicking your fingers together, you can then click. And so when I opened up the Photos app, I look at the Photos app, I just tap with my finger, and then if I want to zoom in on a photo, you do different gestures, you can scroll. And you know, maybe the interesting thing to consider with this Apple Vision Pro as a creative is the idea of a virtual gallery. So for instance, right, I'm just chilling here looking out at these big billboards and murals and things. I could have the headset on and I could display my photograph over the backdrop of the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, over the river, as this massive photograph, and position them throughout the different spaces in the world, whether it's at a park, you know, maybe just sitting on a park bench and you could display different photos. I found that to be intriguing, where if you're browsing and using this as a computational tool or some sort of spatial computing device, you can set up multiple monitors essentially throughout your room or your space that you're operating in. And thinking that way in terms of operating a virtual gallery has me intrigued. The issue with these devices, like for me, the Apple AirPods have been this thing that actually I believe disconnects us more than connects us. You know, you can argue, okay, we can make phone calls and have clear audio and things like that, but I find more often, you know, when I interact in the public space and I see people with AirPods in public, it feels as though they are disconnected, right? So yesterday I was on the elevator and I have a new neighbor, and you know, they had the AirPods in, and you know, they don't really look at you, they're kind of just in their own world. You try to say hi, that, you know, they can't hear you. Then they look down at your phone. If you look at them, it's like they really, you know, it's to me, it's like this antisocial behavior. And then, you know, at the end of the elevator ride, they kind of just whisper back to you like, oh, have a good day. And it's like, bye. You know, it's like I didn't even get to introduce myself to a new neighbor or whatever. And I mean, do these things really matter in the grand scheme of things? Maybe. You know, when I see people with AirPods in public, I kind of think, you know, are they really there, you know, maybe it's more like, you know, are you really human? It's like, I think, you know, you could argue with the phone that we are already cyborgs. It's just the bandwidth between you and scrolling and tapping on the device that separates us from becoming merged with the machine. But when you think of the AirPods, you're quite literally allowing these things to enter your orifices. And yeah, maybe it's like a true cyborg world going forward. We're gonna sort of merge with the machine ultimately. The Apple Vision Pro is certainly a step in this direction. But you know, I try to stay optimistic about all these technologies and things. I think there are some interesting use cases for photography, video. It seems interesting in terms of those uses. Just thinking of the virtual gallery and what I find to be interesting about the device. You know, the audio is good, whatever, I don't know. It's cool. I think it's actually cool. At first I was apprehensive, but to be honest with you, I mean, the problem with a lot of these things are, it's like when you're using a computer, you're sitting down. And like, I think a lot of people are gonna use this thing sitting down, but actually I would like to see someone using it in a park, outside, standing up, walking around. Like, I think it would be interesting that way. And for that, I believe it's too early. Maybe when they have glasses or some sort of smaller device that people can sort of take around with them, it will be much more widely adopted and used, similarly to the AirPods. So yeah, just some random thoughts today. I was intrigued and I went and tried out the Apple Vision Pro. Yeah, but ultimately physical life is supreme, right? The virtual world, the digital world, these things are all sort of superfluous to me. I kind of find bliss and joy and happiness in simply walking and continuously moving my body. But, you know, that's just me. You know, we have endless pleasure, endless sort of TV channels, shows, options, you know, all of the yummy food, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. You know, you can watch YouTube videos, streams, play video games that are hyper realistic. But there still will be a place for the real human experience, and simply allowing the sun to kiss your skin and to be outside. This to me is the ultimate joy, and I believe the ultimate privilege and luxury in life, really. It seems to be outside, right? To just be moving and walking and being a member of society and exploring the world endlessly. So yeah, remember, life is outside your window. Don't get sucked into the Apple Vision Pro. So yeah, I mean, realistically, with these notions of success and luxury and health or wealth, you know, I think it's all sort of silly. I think that health is wealth, right? So think health, right? Think about your physiology first. You know, this feels so nice actually, walking barefoot on these sort of cobblestone roads or whatever this kind of stone is. It's like a little massage on my feet. I like feeling all the sensations actually. You know, it feels good when you walk in the park, on the grass, on these different surfaces. Yeah, but yeah, think health, right? So this past year I've been doing 24-hour fasting every single day. You know, that might seem extreme to most, but to be honest with you, I think we've been sort of programmed to think about these balanced diet notions, you know, having 3 square meals a day, make sure you eat your veggies and your carbs and all these kind of things. But actually, when I fast and I go 24 hours without eating food, I have clearer thoughts. I feel more sharp on the street. I feel like I'm much more alert with my photography. I find me becoming sort of more curious with the camera, and I enter this flow state when I'm fasted, right? Where if I have food in my belly, I feel like it's cumbersome. I feel sluggish. I feel slow. I don't think I can go at the sort of same sort of intensity with anything as when I am fasted. So, you know, I treat every day like Ramadan essentially. I eat my one massive 100% carnivore meal at night. Just red meat, beef and lamb. Chicken isn't meat, pork is dirty. And I actually first started to fast when I was in Jericho living amongst the Palestinians. So a quick story here, when I was living in Jericho, I experienced a lot of different things. I learned all about Islam, actually, and ultimately was converted to Islam at the end of this 2-week journey. A couple of months, really, I spent, but for 2 weeks I was sleeping on the floors of these masjids all throughout the city, fasting, praying, and learning about the ways of Muhammad. It was quite cool, actually, and very immersive experience. You know, this was probably one of my more unique experiences traveling, you know, just on my own in this foreign place, learning about these customs and things such as wudu, right? Washing yourself before you go and pray in the temple, sleeping on your right side as Muhammad would. I would even go and gather people to come and pray and join us. And, you know, sharing the meal, right? Sharing on this, you know, you would eat on the floor with your hands or a spoon, and you would have this big bowl. And there would be, you know, typically pigeon, actually. We would eat pigeon, and I find, you know, pigeon, it tastes better than chicken. I think pigeon is better because they actually fly and move around. So it's maybe just a leaner and better meat. And it seems that like every house in these Palestinian cities actually have pigeon coops, and you'll often see, you know, older men preparing the pigeon, tending to their pigeon coops, feeding them, and really this has opened me up, you know, not only to just eating different foods, but the idea of fasting, and really you know, that the time during Ramadan taught me a lot. And also Eid al-Adha, which is the day of sacrifice, right? So on the day of sacrifice, Eid al-Adha, all throughout Jericho, I mean, I saw blood everywhere. Like, it was so gnarly. It was crazy. All these lambs and sheep were being slaughtered and sacrificed. And throughout that week, you would feast. At night, you would feast and you would eat lamb. And lamb, the more I think about it, is actually the best meat to eat, it seems. At the Costco Business Center, they have this lamb leg. It comes from, I believe, New Zealand, Australia, somewhere. It's actually classified as like halal meat as well. So, you know, maybe there's something about this. And it's so easy to prepare, where I throw the lamb leg in a slow cooker with either beef broth or water, just salt, rosemary, and you set it and forget it. 8 hours, slow cooking, 9 to 5. You come home, your place smells delicious. Right? So you come home and you have like this appetite finally, and you're ready to eat, and you know, it's easy to clean the slow cooker afterwards, and you know, you don't have to put in any work to even cook. And you know, what I believe is, like, for fasting, what it does is it trains you, right? Like, discipline, I think, is critical for me in my life, you know, where, you know, just removing things from life, you know, whether it's like watching shows, you know, watching social media. You know, I don't like to stay in touch with the news. Like, a lot of different things I kind of just subtracted from my life, you know, whether it's alcohol, smoking, anything, you know, pornography. Like, all these things are actually just really bad. And to just like remove things, and then also in terms of food, cutting a lot of things out, you know, it elevates my mood and my vigor and my power, which is what I'm actually seeking, you know, and actually eating these foods that give me the nutrients, that give me that power to satiate my body the next day for 24 hours fasted, you know, where I'm not hungry or craving anything when I'm eating, you know, meat. And, you know, this meat is quite affordable. It's $5 per pound for the lamb leg. I mean, I could see myself eating the same meal every single day. I don't see why not. You know, it fills you up, and you kind of just eat until you're full, you know, like all these notions, calories in, calories out. I think it's kind of bogus, you know. What is this? You know, it's like, you know, weigh yourself, metricate everything, counting numbers. You know, you don't need to do all these sort of things, actually. What we want to do is lose fat, gain muscle, all right? And so how to lose fat? Eat more fatty red meat, so it seems. And, you know, get deep sleep, you know, where that's probably, you know, the best steroid there is, right? Sleep is the steroid. So when I get deep sleep and I sleep for 8 to 12 hours, you know, I really do feel great the next day, and I'm walking consistently through the day. I don't sit down, you know, I don't like to sit down. I think it's unnatural. I think, you know, actually humans were bipedal, you know, for a reason, and actually moving for me is the goal. You know, I don't want to stop moving. I don't want to stop walking and standing. I even prefer eating while standing. I don't know what it is, everything. It's like, the more energy you have, right, the more power you have, right? This, I believe, determines the day, you know? It's like, if you're sitting down, I mean, life is just gonna pass you by. But when you're moving and you set yourself in motion, you know, you exist outside the passage of time. Especially with a camera in hand, wielding this powerful tool to create art, you know? I find that not only does fitness and training and fasting and all these things help my health and well-being, but it also, I believe, increases my creativity. And so there's a connection here worth considering. The gut biome may be more intelligent than your brain. So by fasting and having no food in my stomach, I think more clearly, just naturally, perhaps because of this connection. And you know, this isn't me saying, oh, you must fast, you must only eat meat and do all these things. I think it's just interesting to treat myself as this case study and maybe help one other person that's interested. I mean, I suggest it, but you should live your life however you determine is best for you. I could imagine even just having a steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you're wanting to do the 3-course meal a day thing. You know, that would probably be better than anything else. What are you gonna eat? Quaker oats. It's ironic, right? They say that Cheerios, you know, is that like good for your heart? You know, eat Cheerios. Why? Do they not use as much sugar or something? But to actually eliminate sugar and carbs completely has been interesting. You know, I don't eat fruit, I don't eat vegetables other than fermented kimchi, which is bitter and I believe tasty, and this probiotic perhaps is good for our gut. It's just a nice thing to add to the meal. So other than kimchi, yeah, there's nothing else I'm really curious about in terms of food groups. Maybe salads lacking nutrition is just bad. It just has you snacking and hungry. You know, these cereals and things, it's all processed, you know? So like a lot of the processed foods, snacks and things, yeah, maybe it's actually unnatural to be eating these things, you know? Think more primal, you know? I wouldn't eat a cereal bar, you know, before I go and hunt and, you know, kill the prey. But I would be fasted. So, look, health really is wealth, and luxury is simply having sun on your skin. And I'd say those two simple things. And you know, just like redefine success. With street photography, what is success? With street photography, success is that you are consistently making new photographs and you are curious and courageous. I'd say that's success in street photography. You know, it has nothing to do with, oh, you got published in a book or a gallery or someone saw your photo. All these things don't matter, but the fact that you are consistently photographing and curious, that's success to me. That's what success looks like in the realm of street photography, art, and creating things. Yeah, it's merely about being in the state of production and curiosity. You know, the flow state is interesting to consider. I believe that by wearing these barefoot shoes, I slow down. Like, I quite literally just slow down, and I'm walking at a pace that is 50% slower than most people around me. So really slow down when you're on the street and make an effort to walk 50% slower than everybody else, and you'll find that you'll make more photographs. You will actually enter this Zen-like flow state of recognizing the fleeting moments, the details. Everything sort of just flows towards you. And yeah, by actually walking at a slower pace than everybody else, you will make more photos. You know, you will see more. And you know, just don't rush around. Take it easy, you know. Go slow, go at your own pace, and enter the Zen flow state. Yeah. You know, listen to the sounds of the streets. You know, find yourself in tune with the rhythm and the beat of the street. I find that the you know, revving engines, you know, the chaos, all these sort of things on the street, you know, it becomes music to my ears. And I suggest walking without headphones, you know, don't drown out the noise with AirPods, you know, become connected with the city through both visual, audio, physical experiences. And, you know, maybe there's something to be said about listening to the streets, and, you know, it helps you focus when you're photographing. All this music and stuff can be a distraction, actually. And any sort of use of the phone while out photographing just takes you out of that zone. So, you know, just keep it in airplane mode, you know. How to feel free, like what is freedom? Perhaps freedom is merely just having, you know, just subtracting the superfluous, right? Not having to go on a phone call, not having to check your email, not staying in touch with the social stuff. And yeah, just having that freedom of mind. And yeah, I think to me, freedom is not being distracted, where perhaps distractions are the devil. You know, the real devil are in the distractions. And, you know, to sort of just stay laser focused on the now, what's in front of you, you know, where the past and the future, these things aren't of our concern, but to merely be grounded in reality, in the physical flesh, with the camera in hand, with our two eyes perceiving the world. You know, you enter this state of production that is actually quite blissful. You know, you're sort of just floating through life on a feather bed with a camera in hand, perhaps. You know, all of the chaos, all this sort of insanity in the city, it just rolls right by you, but you're there with the camera prepared, wielding the camera as a sword, striking through the heart of chaos, revealing the soul of the street, and creating visual order and harmony through the spontaneity of everyday life. You know, it's about being at the front lines of life. To me, photography isn't about composition, lighting, layering, and all of these superfluous things, but merely, were you there? Were you present? Did you put yourself at the front lines of life? Wait. How curious can you be? How courageous can one become with a camera in hand? These are the more interesting questions to ask yourself. So allow photography to fuel your lust for life, and put yourself at the front lines. And just go out there without any preconceived notions of what you will find. And you will be blessed with photographs.